We are watching Tesla like hawks here in Pioneer Lands because big things are happening with SpaceX, of course, going public, very likely June 12th. Maybe not just even very likely, maybe even guaranteed. That will have some impacts on Tesla, but this is not what we are going to talk about today because I have been thinking. I had a bunch of strategic videos out on very important topics, including the AI constellation and the new scaffolding, the harness between Cursor, SpaceX, and the big things are happening. So we had our strategy session yesterday, but today we are gonna get very tactical because we also have to make money to keep Pioneer Lands growing. And the way to make money in this market is, of course, by understanding and predicting Tesla. And I have a new tactical thesis that I have become very confident about. I want to share with you guys today, very spontaneously. When we look at Tesla, it looks like we're hitting a local maximum again, and we are running up against this $445 mark that rejected us very harshly twice before. As you can see here, on May 11th, we bumped against it, and then we tried again, and then I got slaughtered. This was my worst day here in 2026. So the question is, will this happen again? And I think no. Here is my theory. When we go back to the earnings deck of Tesla from Q4 2024, so the earnings before the last earnings, we see some very interesting things. And what we see here is that in January 2026, that's only 4 months ago, Tesla said the following when they talked about the services and robotaxi and their plans. They published in the earnings deck, which is a very official document. That is not Elon just tweeting some stuff out. This is the entire compliance team, the finance team, many other teams, the operational team, sitting there, going through investor relations review, legal review, everything, and said, let's say this. Why don't we just say this here? Why don't we just tell the world that by June 30th, which is exactly in 32 days or 31, that we will have that we have planned robo-taxi coverage in Las Vegas, where we don't have it right now, in Tampa, where we don't have it right now, in Orlando, where we don't have it right now, in Miami, Phoenix, where we don't have it right now. And then, of course, Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Francisco, Bay Area. And when you make a commitment like that, it's kind of embarrassing to miss it because this is not just an Elon tweet. This is the entire company, compliance department, legal and finance and operations reviewing this and greenlighting it 5 months ago. So what do we think? Were we fooled or is this going to happen? Now we have some interesting observations. When we, for example, look at what my second favorite Joe in the world, Joe Techmeyer, is telling us every single day. It is this here. It is a bunch of cybercabs going onto the parking lot and leaving the parking lot every single day. Maybe it's every second day. We don't know exactly, but every second day or something, we get photos from Joe's amazing drones that tell us the exact status of the Austin Gigafactory. And that was just yesterday. This is from May 27th, 2026. When you look at your calendar, you will notice we are today on May 28th. So that was indeed yesterday. And they're churning these out. And of course, you also observed many other things here. They produce all these amazing Cybertrucks and Model Ys. That is of less interest to me, but you see the Cybercabs rolling around. And we also have more evidence. When we go to the Tesla Newswire, also an amazing channel, and Chris Deerdorf, who saw this in Dallas. This is in Dallas, Texas, which, if you don't know Texas, is not Austin. It is a different city, a very large city, where Tesla has unsupervised Model Ys testing the streets, but they are also lining up all these cybercabs. How can that be? They're lining up all the cybercabs, and they're also recruiting and hiring all these jobs for robotaxi oversight and management all across the country. And that is very, very interesting. And it's an indicator that something is going on. And that's something when we connect these dots and think really hard as greedy little traders. What does that all mean? Look at this, for example. This was posted by Tesla Yoda. Also yesterday, a little before, roughly 10 hours before, Joe Techmeyer had all these observations with his drones of the cybercaps, Tesla Yoda posted this, that Tesla is looking for an AI safety operator in Bellevue, Washington, in Reno, Nevada, in Utah, in Tennessee, in Pennsylvania, in New York, in New Jersey. And it doesn't even end. It goes on and on and on. They look for it in Kansas, in Georgia, in Texas, District of Columbia, Louisiana, Maryland, Missouri, North Carolina. What is going on? Something big is going on. And when we then connect these dots and look again at the Q4 2024 earnings report, it crystallizes in my little mind that Tesla will not like to miss these deadlines and has now lined up all these little cybercaps, which makes it, in my opinion, likely, much more likely than not, that something will happen in June. By the way, June also randomly happens to be the month where this whole thing launched last year. So it's exactly 1 year after the launch. So it all lines up. Okay, what am I saying here? Am I saying we are unleashing a wave of tens of thousands of cybercaps? Of course not. We don't have tens of thousands, but we have hundreds. We have hundreds of cybercaps. In case you didn't count them, I did. I don't know the exact number, but we have over 200 cybercaps in the wild now. 200 serially produced cybercaps. Okay, they're in the wild. They have been deployed. They have reached their destinations. However they reached them, good question. How did they even get there? Who knows? Maybe they drove themselves. Okay, and if I connect all these dots and connect it with SpaceX IPO, that I will think that I would estimate will boost Tesla stock too, because there is no doubt that the SpaceX IPO is engineered in a way where the IPO is a buy, the stock will go up. I do think it will crash a little bit later. That's why I'm not necessarily in this whole thing. But when you look at the IPO, June 12th, and then the integration into the index funds or in the indices, and then the index funds having to buy that, that's all happening in relatively short order. So June will be bullish. Hey, on this channel, we do something very important. We deeply analyze, understand, and predict capital, AGI, and politics. Not just to beat the markets and make a lot of money, even though that's important, but also to build a new society and make the future good for all of us, the pioneers. If you want to help me on this journey, you can do that by doing a very simple thing. Like and subscribe. It helps me a lot. Thank you so much for your support, and let's get back to the video. The merger talks have resurfaced, which means everyone is now thinking about the merger and thinking about if SpaceX goes super high, it's probably a one-on-one merger. No one knows that, but there will be some effects on Tesla stock. What does that all mean for me? Plus, Iran is clearly over, as I said a million times. So it means for me, we are entering into a month of June, where the macro environment, in my opinion, has stabilized. Of course, we have to watch that hour by hour. This is a dangerous operation I'm going to present to you right now. But it's a potentially very profitable operation. Every time you see multiple very big things converging, you have to think of them as Bayesian layers, Bayesian probability layers. The fact that we have an outsized chance that CyberCap will be deployed in June, in any number, I think dozens at least, is an enormous kind of half-hard catalyst. There is just no way in hell or in heaven that Tesla stock will not go up. I'm not saying it will double, but I'm saying this will force the stock 5 or 10% up if we see a significant thing. Potentially much more, but let's say 5 to 10%. It is not my big Joe catalyst where I think there's a repricing to 600 or something, but it's something there's just no way that we are not going up 10% or something. Okay? That means the probability this happens is high. If it happens, it's pretty much guaranteed it has a very strong catalytic short-term effect on the stock. Plus, we have SpaceX, which is a little more risky what it exactly means, but it's much more likely that it's positive on Tesla stock. So we have a second huge catalyst. We have the Optimus fantasies. I'm a little skeptical on it, but in theory, Optimus should come and be presented in August or July, somewhere around there. Another catalyst. Plus, the market seems a little de-risked right now. What does that mean? It means I'm getting very, very bullish. I'm getting very tactically bullish on a short-term move. But what does that mean? What do we do about it? Do we buy more stock? No, I hate buying stocks. I already have enough stocks. If I buy stocks, it's on margin, it's annoying, it's expensive. It's very hard to buy a lot of stocks on margin, depending what the lot is, but it's hard. Do I buy call options? Call options are insanely expensive. I looked at leaps, I don't like it at all. I looked at midterm call options for a very tactical operation. They cost too much money. This is stupid if I have to spend so much money on the call options. So I'm defaulting back to my favorite go-to strategy, which is short puts. But this time we can get a little more aggressive, a little bit more into the money and say, can we load up on short puts? Obviously, we are taking risks here because you know that short puts are the best probability optimizer because you get paid for nothing happening. You get even paid when you're wrong. You only lose money when you're very wrong. The problem is if I load up on short puts, let's say $4.50 month runtime, you get nearly $30 for this. Can you even imagine? $8 intrinsic value and you get paid 28 or something. Crazy. So here the crazy premiums pay in our work in our favor because we can actually keep them because we're not buying, we're selling. So that is what I'm thinking about and what I like about the situation is. Here we have a situation that very likely if Tesla starts moving against me on this trade, that I would have sufficient confidence to double down and stay in the trade because I think my thesis is sound. So if it would drop to 220, 420, which would hurt me, 410 would be very violent, but 420, 430, I could probably survive that and stay in the trade and say, no, that's to be expected. I will hold through it. And if this works, if that trade works, we are talking about a 10 to 20% percentage point alpha over Tesla, which would be huge. So if Tesla goes to 490 or something, 450, 460, that's all I need. I just need Tesla to go to 460. So what I'm constructing here is a thesis that is a month-long thesis. Beautiful, dangerous and beautiful. That's how I like my trades. Beautiful and dangerous. So 450, short put, strike price, go a little strong in, generate massive advantages over Tesla, and then see what happens. If Tesla comes out above 430, I win. If it comes out above 450, I totally win. If Tesla goes to 490, my alpha shrinks a little bit. Of course, I make a lot of money, but then the alpha is relatively lower because Tesla goes so high. So ideal. And then I can still adapt the trade, as you can imagine. If Tesla really goes on a mega run, I have to double down. But the initial win would be already huge. So in short, I have high conviction that June will be good. High conviction June will be good. If market willing, okay, that's how you say it. I have high conviction June will be very good for Tesla, market willing, but I think market is willing and we have to watch this very closely. When you have conviction like that, what do? Ideally, you go into a probabilistically positive trade, like in the money short puts that still give you 10, 15, 20 or $20 buffer to the downside. And then can go relatively heavy. You have to have exit plans when something goes wrong. You need to get out of this if something bad happens. But that's my plan. So now you know what I think and how I execute it. Here, I can show you the share price. We bumped against these 445 twice, were rejected. I think this time is different. And you can also, when you zoom out, by the way, see the trend line from here, from the lows of 2026 and April 8th. We are on this trend line, looking pretty healthy. Don't want to be a stock astrologer here, but just basically this looks pretty healthy, okay? It looks like we are breaking through. And it also coincides with my core thesis that we are hitting 490 again very soon. This could all happen in June, so I'm going in a little heavy. I already did this today. I might go in a little heavier if we drop a little bit more, and then we go from there. So there you have my game plan for June as it stands today. Of course, subject to change any second. But for now, this is a good thesis. So keep watching this whole thing. Keep watching the cyber caps being rolled out. And keep visiting, of course, Pioneer Lands, where Pioneer Lands Daily, our new publication and website, is taking more and more shape. Look at this beautiful thing that we built with the best news flow in the world on the Pioneer Alpha thesis, the age of AGI, all the things that are happening with Starship. across all news sources in the world, where we basically cover this whole, all rewritten very nicely by our AI to actually aggregate and interpret this stuff. We have also amazing stuff coming up here. I showed it to the community on Sunday. We have the whole knowledge graph evolving. That's only for citizens, of course. But here you will see the advanced models that we are building, where we see basically for space. Here you see basically the whole story of AGI evolving, and we track it in real time. We are building then the models, for example, for space, the entire space deployment model, launch cost forecast, the AI build out elasticity launch cost. How will AI build out in space evolve as a function of launch costs? The compute build out ramp rate, right? What is the total compute build out bottlenecks? And then terrestrial AI build out and total AI build out, so we can track what the actual core, hardcore build out of all the hyperscalers will look like as a function of Earth and space. And then we go into all these things. Here's Robotaxi, of course, where we will have all these timelines while we are working on them. We will see the cost of goods sold, we see the margins, we see all these things. And that is our secret weapon here to predict the future and model it all out. So that is all on the beautiful Pioneer Lens Daily, the most important publication of Pioneer Lens. And I hope that is interesting. You can watch this, join here, it's free. If you want to be a citizen, you can become a citizen, see the research. Research is not there yet. We are refining it. We are building the system as we speak. We have the research, but it's not implemented yet. So you see, we are not lazy. That's why I'm sometimes a little distracted. But of course, making sure we are milking the Tesla cow while it grows is very important. So I hope that was interesting, and see you